we're back with Miss Lindsey Anderson, and if you want to turn your social media into a sales machine, then you're exactly in the right place, because Miss Lindsey Anderson, she helps entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, and service providers generate consistent leads and sales through social media without wasting time on content that doesn't convert. Her website is Lindsey with an E, but then there's an A at the end, so it's LINDSEYA.com. She's formerly One Click Lindsey. That's how I'll always know her. And we're catching up to talk about this concept of getting consistent high-ticket sales and attracting those high-quality leads and closing them easily and consistently with social media. Exciting stuff. Lindsey, it's been so many years. I don't even know how many decades I've known you, but it's always good to see you.
I know, Robert. It's so great to be seen. It's always great to have a call back to the old nickname or the old moniker that I used to go by. So
the OG.
Yeah. One Click Lindsey. I've evolved now past that, but I still like to wave at her every once in a while.
Yeah, to look back on how far you've come. And
yeah,
so,
totally.
Speaking of that, you have 20 years of experience as an agency owner, speaker, best-selling author, and podcast host. Now you're doing this high-ticket selling, social media stuff. AI has taken over the world. So where does that leave you? What are you currently up to? What's your focus and passion?
I love it, Robert. So yeah, I love AI. ChatGPT is my BFF all day long, but here's where it's really started to serve me that I think is interesting. So as you mentioned, I have ran an agency for the last 20 years. Previously, before ChatGPT, it was incredibly difficult to be profitable and provide really high quality marketing, because high quality marketing, social media very specifically, is all about understanding who you're talking to, your messaging, your positioning, your niching, and the more detailed and small you focused in on that, the better it works. Well, that takes time and that takes knowledge and that takes understanding all these things. And you have to be like an expert to really grasp that from somebody and turn it into social media. But with ChatGPT, so I wasn't, with ChatGPT, the business has changed tremendously, because with really fantastic prompts, our prompts are 50 or 100 lines long. I know exactly what to give ChatGPT to get this really high quality information. And then I will interview my clients for an hour a month, because ChatGPT helps me know what to ask them that will really speak to their ideal client. And we're able to create high quality social media content and then teach them and provide to them a system for actually converting that into clients. And with ChatGPT, with great systems, with knowledge of deep marketing, well, our clients are having fantastic success, Robert. So I'm excited.
And I'm excited for it. I'm excited just listening to that. I feel like I have to close the podcast and go do 5 or 6 different things, because it seems like it, like you said, it took so many weeks, months just to make an email sequence, right? Or just to make social media campaign just for one platform. And then now it's you can bust it out, but then now it's the other extreme, right? It's overwhelming. Well, sure, you could ask it to bust out 62 tweets, but then you're now what do I do with all that? And it seems I don't know about you, but for me, to get a handle on all this AI and ChatGPT stuff, I'm well, there's a big old cloud of all your knowledge, all the stuff you know, and there's a big old cloud of what ChatGPT can make, and then it's up to you to use the prompts to shape it, right? When you say well, I want you to look at this and attack about that and mention that and don't mention that, it seems that's where the sweet spot is, right? And that's why it seems we need someone like you, because if we were just to say, oh, I'll just go do ChatGPT, we know how to ask ChatGPT for simple stuff, but not this kind of proven system sequence like you provide, it seems.
I'm so glad you picked up what I was putting down on that, Robert. Yeah. So the way and you're right, ChatGPT will give you exactly what you give it in terms of context. And so the way I like to think about it is 20, 60, 20. 20% of your work is creating a really great prompt, giving it context, telling it about the customer, everything you know, the problems, what you're ultimately trying to sell, all the stuff has to go in there. And then ChatGPT, bless its heart, will do 60% of the heavy lifting for you, which is amazing. And then the final 20% is your expertise. Okay, here's some output, but this is actually how I want to approach this. And actually, I think kind of tweak this. And that's not really what I want to do there. And just kind of working with ChatGPT or any of the other AI tools. And that's how you can really make magic happen.
Yeah, you do some fixing up going in and some more fixing up going out. And it also sounded like when you presented a little bit of your process there, it seemed like there's probably like a little bit of a feedback loop, isn't there? Like you do this, you said
Oh,
that you interview not just one time, but like once a month to kind of pick up what worked and get more of that and less of what didn't.
yeah, we use ChatGPT for all of that. So, like, one of my favorite, to your point, okay, this is one of the best ways. I'm going to give away one of my secrets right now. One
Ooh,
of the best ways to get content is we will also coach our clients through sales calls because, like, sales calls is really important, knowing how to handle that. So, they'll record the sales calls. And then we'll put those into ChatGPT and base the transcript and be like, hey, this guy closed. It was an ideal client. Evaluate this call and help me create social media content that will attract this guy. And so this feedback loop that you're talking about, and if you just, I always call ChatGPT the VA that you don't have to pay. And so
yeah.
you want to talk to it like that. Don't just like take what it says and like, okay, that's gospel. No, be like, no, actually, it was kind of like this and kind of like that. And it will work with you. It's like a person. It's so awesome. I love you, ChatGPT.
It's a person, it's awesome, but you have to treat them right, just like a person, right? And ask the right
Totally.
questions and have the right
If you're
expectations. And yeah,
Yeah, if you're telling your team member high level, hey, just go do this thing without any context, you're going to get that back. And ChatGPT is exactly the same, but faster.
and as entrepreneurs, we've all been there, right? We've all made those stupid hires where we're like, we go on Fiverr or we hire someone like, oh yeah, just figure out web
Figure it
page,
out.
and then yeah, and then they come back with
Use
something
it
and
for a
like,
marketer. Take care of it. It's like,
yeah,
no, that never works. Yeah.
yeah, so set the parameters. And so you're making me flashback to there's been so many times, even just like the last 30 days, right? On sales calls, I go to like a weekly accountability meeting, and there's always the nuggets, right? There's always like, oh my gosh, like I said that thing on accident or heard that thing that someone said, and I'm not going to steal what they said, but they made me think of that, and that's what I'll use for content. And for me, so many times it goes unused, right? I write it down in my little
Yes.
notebook, and then I'm just like, oh, I've got other stuff to do. And so I imagine that with you there, that it actually gets to the other side, right? It actually gets fulfilled. It's not just a little note you wrote in your book. You say, hey, make this content, or like even better, right? You say, let's have this conversation, and then you make the end products for them.
That's right. That's exactly right. And that ultimately, Robert, for us boils down to systems. And so as customers are talking to us or there's like this new idea or oh, I need to do this, we have a very documented system that when these ideas come in, we put them in a document. And so then when it's time to like get those prompts from ChatGPT, we have like it all documented and you just like copy and paste and be like, here's the context. This is everything I've said in the last 50 days. Help me, and it will. But it has
Nice.
you have to do that process of getting it that info.
And it, yeah, and it just like sorts it out for you, gives us, you get like
It's
this whole
so
mountain of stuff,
good.
and it processes it. And much in that sort of spirit, many times we get overloaded with the facts and figures and the ideas. Just like right now, I'm so just jam packed full with even what Lindsey has me excited about. And then what I find helps me, and I find what helps the podcast audience is then slowing it down and jumping into a story. Right? You're a reality star. You understand the importance of the hook and the story and the narrative.
That's
So
right.
speaking to that, I mean, I'm sure you have some cool clients to talk about, right? Some of those juicy success stories. So, what kind of story do you have for us as far as this whole thing in action?
Yeah, so one of my best success stories. So when he came to us, so he's an expert. His name's actually Rocky. I don't think he'll mind me bringing this up because he's a great testimonial for us as well. So Rocky came to us. He is a world class keynote speaker. He speaks on so many stages like Microsoft and Zoom, some of the biggest companies in the world. He's doing these keynotes, and he really came to us wanting to up level his social media, starting to get high quality leads from our speaking engagements and his coaching programs. And I mean, his real focus is 7 and 8 figure corner office CEOs. And so I think one of the biggest myths about social media is like, no, there's only tire kickers on social media. Like nobody serious is on social media, right? So like I can't reach 7 and 8 figure CEOs. But in reality, you can reach 7 and 8 figure CEOs. You can create content that speaks to them. You can have an outreach. You can have an outreach strategy on LinkedIn that actually creates high quality relationships, and you can have a conversion plan that actually brings them into your ecosystem and allows you to sell your services to them and serve them. And so when Rocky came to us, this was about 18 months ago, he was kind of starting at zero because his ecosystem had some other arrangements that kind of fell through. We've all been there.
Oh,
And so he came to us not knowing how to build this business. And he emailed me at the first of last month and said he had made more in that month than he had the previous year. So it's a great story. It's a great story. Super successful. You can reach anyone on social media if you're real focused on that.
oh yeah, and you shared some great concepts here. Like a few minutes ago, you kind of shared the lookalike, so to speak, right? That the algorithm gives you more of what you want, right? If you
Yes.
like and you watch the doom and gloom, then it shows you more of that.
It knows
And
so
but
much.
but then the reverse is true as far as us looking for those ideal customers, right? If we know who we want and then we speak to them, and then that type of person then reacts, and it shows them more, and then that leads to what you're saying of the nurturing of then you warm them up and you do the outreach and you get them to other places, get them watching more content. Next thing you know, they're on a call, you're giving them an offer, and they're leading to become a client. And that sounds great in theory, but then real life happens, right? There's always the struggles, the difficulties, those things that are unexpected. And so, where do people go wrong with this client acquisition, or perhaps where have you struggled acquiring your own clients?
Yeah, this is a topic that is very close to my heart, Robert, because I've been in business for 20 years. I know you're up there as well, and it has become my passion to help people acquire clients because for my own business as well as watching people as a marketer, it is like the number one reason why people fail at their businesses and quit and struggle and have pain around their business is not having a clear way to generate clients. And so they're always struggling, always searching. And so it's become my lifelong goal is to come up with a real way, no smoke and mirrors, no overnight success, no super sexy toppings on it, but like legitimately, how do you get clients step by step? Now, we've outlined it and it works. And so my passion is helping people get clients. And it's such a big struggle, but that's what I do.
Well, wonderful. And this whole like term clients, I have to admit, like I didn't really listen to it much or take it seriously until about 10 years ago. Like I feel like the first 10 years I would just jump from thing to thing, right? I'd be like, I'll put out a book, made some money, put out software, made some money, do a membership, make some money. But it was just
Yeah.
like a struggle again. It was like just going to the next struggle. And then about 10 years ago, then I don't know if I just started paying attention or if it was talked about more, this idea of like have these monthly clients, right? Have this baseline income, have the solid money coming in every month. And then when you want to go and make the SaaS or the app or whatever the crazy project is, then you have less pressure, right? Because you're taking care of yourself, you're paying the bills. And when you do the big risky thing, then it's less scary, right? It's less ups and downs. And so like, and then the other thing that I noticed is that like once I kind of befriended people a little bit better, right? When I was like, oh my gosh, this guy has this platform, this app, I get to know him and he'd be like, oh yeah, I have one or two high ticket clients. It's like, oh, so you have this that pays the bills, and then you have
That's
the other
smoke and
business
mirror.
adventure that all we see is the adventure and not like, oh yeah, you have at least a couple of these high ticket clients that are just kind of like taking care of yourself every month. And so like, do you think in those terms, or like, have you seen something similar like those clients, even though it's not it's not sexy on the outside, something we don't talk about it, but like it's more common than I realize as far as people having this kind of consistent income to hold everything together.
Yeah, yeah. So, first of all, I really appreciate what you said about, skipping from business to business. I've always felt like I also did the same thing. That's like the Achilles heel of being super technical and a marketer and somebody who is really creative is that you have, and it's like ultimately the reason why I even picked my college major, which was a mix of information systems and programming and marketing. And so, because I was like, I have so many ideas, I don't want to like have to farm this out to some web developer. I want control so I can like create all this stuff. And so, but ultimately, because you don't have a plan, you don't have a way to acquire customers, you don't even have to like test the program, then you just jump from thing to thing to thing to thing and never build stability. And so I learned the same lesson as you because I was jumping around too. I had 50 businesses, right?
Oh yeah,
And in the
at
last 20
least.
years or however, yeah,
Yeah.
however many. And ultimately, what I had to teach myself was yes, I am a visionary. Yes, I love new ideas. Yes, I love the dopamine hit of the hope of this is my $1 million idea. But ultimately, I had to come come to peace with it is about strategy, it is about consistency, and ultimately the business is boring, and like you have to be okay with daily boring tasks and build up that war chest of very high quality customers so that you can sleep at night and have recurring income. Like ultimately that's what it comes down to for me.
Very nice. And yeah, and some, like you said, sometimes it takes years or many failures just to get to that lesson. And they use the term monotony over misery, that like, okay, like find
Oh,
your
I haven't
dopamine
heard
hit somewhere.
that.
But like, yeah, so you're saying find your dopamine hit somewhere else, which you still can, right? You can have your cake and eat it too. You can have these clients, and you get your variety, your adventure from solving those problems, or what kind of client am
That's
I getting into
right.
now, or what speaking gig am I doing, or like kind of like multitask or do these other things. And so it's great to hear about some of these kind of profound ahas that you've had over the years, and man, hopefully people can listen and shortcut some of this stuff. But you have so much going on. We both do, right? I think that's why we kind of play off each other and geek out a lot. But in the spirit of just knowing what you have going on and focusing on what's important to you, what question am I not asking you in this conversation, but what should I be asking you?
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Maybe what question should you be asking me? Well, probably Robert, you didn't warn me about this one.
I didn't.
Um, maybe if I could do it again, what would I do earlier? Maybe
I like that one.
that's a good one. And so,
Yeah.
because ultimately it comes down to not leaning into my identity too much, meaning this is just me. Like I'm just creative, or I'm just sporadic, or I'm just unorganized, or I'm just this. But ultimately, grabbing hold of my own identity and being like the business owner I want to be is not sporadic, is not disorganized, is very calendared, is very this, and learning to adopt those traits, becoming those traits, and just very cognitively and becoming that person that now is reflected on the outside.
Ooh, interesting. Well, like there's that saying of like, well, there's what your identity is, and you have to be really careful about making your identity not something that can be taken away from you, right? If
Yeah.
identity is your house or car or money, and then you lose it, that's really painful. Versus when you say that your identity is your strategy and your organization, maybe like control freakness, right? And then that way you can take that and you can apply that to anything. And to help us tap into that, I'm always amazed at your like really good looking video quality, and like the background's blurred, and then like your social graphics are always great. And whenever I go to your website, you do that thing that the best speakers do, where like every 2 years they like completely redo the design. So like can you tell us like your secret of that? Like how do we
Yeah.
do the good looking refreshness of it all?
This is what I have to say about that. So, first of all, thank you so much for the compliments. Second of all, it has been incredibly intentional. And so it did not happen all at once. If you would have had this conversation 10 years ago, that's not how it looked. And I realized, and the way we got here is through systems and being organized. So now we have time on our calendar to actually plan a website reorg. Now we have time, and because we schedule a year out in advance for some of this stuff. And we
Hmm.
really have a strategic long-term plan because I am dedicated to my business surviving for not even surviving, thriving for years and years to come. And I act in accordance with that, where a lot of business owners show up small and contracted and saying, business, you show me you're going to be successful, and then I will take you seriously. My hack has been, I will take myself seriously, and the business will eventually reflect that back to me.
Ooh, I like that. So it starts with you. And if you're waiting around for
Everything.
your business to deliver for you, that's not leadership. That's not ownership. That's not accountability. So we need to say, hey, I'll be Walt Disney, and here's what I want in the coming years, and here's what that will look like. And then I'll get myself on the path, because if not, you leave it up to random chance, don't you? And just in that same line of thinking, someone has all these ideas about AI and getting organized and social media, if they just leave it up to chance, then in 3 months, 6 months, they'll be like, oh yeah, I forgot about that podcast with formerly One Click Lindsey, now Lindsey Anderson, and whatever happened with that, and why didn't I take any action? So how can someone avoid that catastrophic future? How does someone find out about you, the unlaunch method, your podcast, the service? Like, what are some next steps here?
Thanks, Robert. So, I am a really big fan of continuing education because, as I mentioned, it is my life's goal to make client acquisition easier. Now, it's not that it's an overnight success, it is a very clear system to do this. Okay. It's not for the faint of heart. It takes work. I'm not lying to you. But ultimately, if that interests you, I really like to share my process with people. And so, I'm always giving a live workshop. So, doesn't matter when you hear this. All you need to do is head over to lindsaya.com/workshop and you'll have access to my next workshop if you want to understand my 4-step system that we implemented for Rocky. If you want to understand how to generate high ticket clients and start systemizing your business, that is where you're going to start.
Very nice. So what you'll get right there? Oh, and it's so great. It's like whatever the latest webinar is, isn't it?
Yeah.
So and I'm sure it'll change, but so that way it's not evergreen, unfortunately. But at the moment, if you go to lindsaya.com/workshop, the current workshop, which I assume will change every week, right now it's social media sales surge. Turn your content into clients with the proven 90-day sales system for summer success. And that's very exciting. And it solves a lot of problems, right? And it gets us a lot further than we otherwise would have been because of course, we can't ignore content. We can't ignore social media. But then if you go into it without a plan, like you've been talking so many times here, go into it without a plan, it becomes just unfocused, a waste, inconsistent. And we don't want that. We want to tap into some of that Lindsey energy and figure out how to get these clients acquired, get these leads nurtured. And if someone looks at your socials and sees all that you have going on consistently, like we all want that, right? We want to have that business where we're known for things and we know who we want and we get the attention of the right people. And then those dastardly social media algorithms, they say, hey, let's get more of these types of people. And then it all works because you had your passion, you knew your stuff, and you also hooked up, partnered with Miss Lindsey Anderson from lindsaya.com/workshop. And she just used all these AI tools, which change on a daily basis, to harness and shape and turn your best genius into this marketing plan, the social posting, the nurturing, the follow-up, the automation, all that cool stuff. That is lindsaya.com/workshop. And before I let you go, Lindsey, it's time for the scary part of the show. You thought earlier was scary, but now it's time to try to put you on the spot where I ask for a quote or lesson that has served you that you can pass on to us. So what do you have for a quote or lesson?
Okay, here's my quote or lesson, and it's something that has been a real onion for me. So it's like I think I've cracked it, and then there's another layer of it, and there's another layer of it, and I'm even experiencing even another layer of it this very moment that we're speaking. And that is this thought of radical responsibility, which means if I have team members, instead of as a business owner being like, well, they didn't do that. Now I'm mad at them because they should have known their job. Instead, you have to take that on yourself. Radical responsibility, which means, it's actually my team. And so if they didn't do that, it's actually me. It's not all of this blame in every single way. You pick everything. You get to pick everything. And so radical responsibility, it's always me because like I'm creating this. I created the team. I created this reaction. And so the closer you can get to the hack of just getting your outside, your external life matching what you actually want on the inside.
Ooh, that's powerful. Get that to match up. You chose to be here on this podcast. If someone attends your webinar, they chose to be there. You make that hire, you chose to hire that person or not fire that person or communicate in that way. So yeah, radical responsibility. I love that concept. And let's think about that as we check out Lindsey Anderson on LinkedIn. That's linkedin.com/in/the Lindsey Anderson. We have lindsaya.com, but we really want you to go to lindsaya.com/workshop. And thank you very much, Miss Lindsey, for showing up, stopping by. Miss Lindsey, by the way, if you have Netflix, check out season 1 of The Trust. She's on it. She is a TV star, but she's also a social media sales expert, CEO of the BAM agency, speaker, best-selling author, top podcast hosts. Check out what she has going on as far as done for you social media, business growth consulting, and speaking and workshops. If you want to generate more leads and sales through social media, then check that out. That's lindseya.com/workshop. And we'll see you next time, Lindsey. And it's been a blast. I feel like so much time has passed since I've seen you, but also no time has passed. It's that weird, freaky way the internet is. So thanks for being here.
I agree. Thank you, Robert. I'll be back soon.
Let's do it.